Right, Jason Byrne, the other son. Are you looking forward to the All-Ireland final Dublin-Kerry?
I wasn't initially, Shane, but I am now because I think the build-up's finally starting to kick into gear a wee bit. We were down at Kerry Press night a couple of weeks back, and you know what Peter King's like, all era, the whole lot. But I think he enjoyed chatting to us. I think he was kind of smirking as he was giving us all the cute Kerry answers. But look, the build-up's in full flow now. Like there's, I think it kind of only really kicked off today, I suppose. Like there was, I know we'd seen people tweeting like that a lot of the sports bulletins and all were carrying rugby stories and stuff and no GA, but I think it's finally kicking off a wee bit now. I don't know, is that down to the lack of expectation around the country that people just think Dublin are going to win or what? Like, I don't know what it's down to. That could be it, but you know, the GA are saying there's huge interest from all around the country, ticket-wise and everything else, and demand seems to be huge, so you have to take their word for it. But I think come Sunday morning there'll be a massive buzz around Dublin and everything else, like, because you know in the lead up to an All-Ireland final, all that can get lost in the city. I'm sure there is a good buzz in Kerry now finally. When I was down there as well, I noticed like that I was chatting to a couple of taxi men and whatnot, like, and you always tend to bring up football fairly early in the conversations when you meet these lads. And I remember I got a taxi into Killarney, and the first taxi man was loving the build up that everyone was writing Kerry off, and he was quietly confident. He was loving the drive for 5 talk, everything else, and he was sure the Kerry were going to win. And the other taxi man wasn't giving them a chance, and he was going back in Dublin and the handicap and everything else. So it seemed fairly split down there, the mood. So it's kind of hard to get a read on it, but yeah, that's how it's been so far. I am looking forward to it though. I am looking forward to it now, a lot more than I was. Like, you know, all the talks about the matchups and kickouts and everything else. You know, it's we finally had a chance to get our teeth into it. So yeah, enjoying it now so far.
We'll keep the predictions on ice for a moment. But like, the country is expecting Dublin to do it. We're probably all expecting Dublin to do it. If you were to make a case for Kerry, what would it be based around?
Obviously David Moran needs to have a massive game at midfield. They're on about if he marks Brian Fenton, it's kind of taken a lot away from his game. So his impact's going to be massive because purely of what Fenton gives to Dublin as well. You know, there's word, of course, of Jack Barry going in there too to do a man marking job. So it depends on what Kerry want to do there. Kickouts as well, obviously, are huge. I think Kerry should press as much as they can. Obviously, it's a hugely energy sapping exercise, but I think they do need to press as much as they can. Like, we were speaking to Darren O'Sullivan the other day, you know, reflecting on the 2016 semi-final when they rattled Cluxton. They did, like, and
a couple of quick goals.
A couple of quick goals just before half time. It was crazy. Like the first one, he made a huge mistake. He went to chip it out to the corner, and Paul Guinea got on it, and Darren O'Sullivan ended up bundling into the net. And then Cluxton was so rattled from that he, you know, high ball came in, he made a meal of it, and Paul Guinea got the second goal, I think. So, like, Kerry obviously feel like he can be got at. Like, he's, you know, he just completely dictates. He can completely dictate how a game is going. But I just keep thinking back to what they done against Mayo, like, and at half time, the way the discussion was in the press box, and how Mayo were containing them, and Mayo were very calm and keeping them out at the back, and all the turnovers they were making and everything else, and then just bang, 10 minutes in the second half, Conor Callan had the ball in the net twice, and Lee Keegan was on his backside, and it was game over. Like, you know, it really was a stunning period of football. Like, I think it was the best we've seen from them so far since Jim Gavin took over. Like, it was just, you know, your jaw was on the floor nearly. So you know, I've just been thinking of that all week, like, that, you know, something like that is, you know, probably going to happen again and maybe kill the game.
Yeah, probably at some point during the game. If you were to think, how could Kerry make more of the sort of start that Mayo got? If they can get into the game that way, if they can find a way, someone to tie down Jack McCaffrey to some degree, you know, the way Paddy Durcan stuck with him so well. What I'm thinking is that when Kerry get the ball 45 yards out from goal, they probably have fewer guys who are uncomfortable on the ball than Mayo. So you don't want to name names, but there's a couple of guys with Mayo, when they got the ball within 30-40 yards of the goal, Dublin could almost stand off them, knowing this lad isn't going to swing over a point, and if he does, he'll swing over 1 and 3. So maybe Kerry, if they can get themselves in the game as Mayo did, maybe they can be 3 or 4 points ahead rather than just being kind of neck and neck. Is that
that's a fair assessment. Like Mayo could have been a lot more ahead. you can see that Mayo were trying to be patient as well and work it into the proper zone to get a strike on it to make sure it goes over. But like Kerry, I know they can't afford to kick a single wide. Like, but I think they'll try and get the ball to Clifford as much as possible. I think Tommy Walsh will come on at some stage. I don't think he'll start, but he can definitely give them something completely different when he does come on. I think he's 6'6". Obviously he's been around a long time. He's 31. He's been across to Australia and back again. Peter Keane knew what he was doing when he was calling him back in. So we saw the impact he had in the semi-final against Tyrone. When he dragged Pádraig Hampsey out of the space to let Stephen O'Brien run in and get the goal. So that Kerry front six is very different to Mayo's front six as well in terms of what they give you with Clifford and O'Brien, especially, and Paul Guinea too. He's been in great form. I think he's been a bit of an unsung hero for Kerry this summer again. 2014 he had a great year obviously when they won the All-Ireland, but I think this year again he's been really back to his best. Like, he's got a good few goals and working himself in the good positions, and he's really, I don't think he's had a bad game so far.
In one-on-one scenarios, do you think that the Kerry forwards can do more damage than the Mayo ones? Because not every one of those Mayo inside forwards can really turn and go at you and create then a 2-on-1 for someone else to set up a goal chance. But with Gainey, Clifford, Stephen O'Brien for example, there is more of a chance of beating your man and causing mayhem in behind.
Yeah, I think so, yeah, for sure. And like Sean O'Shea's been class from frees all summer as well. He doesn't really make a mistake. He doesn't look like a fella who made his championship debut last year for sure. He looks like he's been around there for a long time. He's very cool, calm and composed. He's got great technique. He always seems to know where the posts are. He always seems to be able to find them. So he's a big weapon as well. But I think what you're saying, I completely agree with what you said there. Anyway, that they do have more in that front six than Mayo did. But you have to understand as well. I think Mayo played 7 games in 8 weeks. Like, it was always a massive ask for them. Like, obviously the decline in that second half was quite heartbreaking and tragic for them. And it'll be very hard for them to come back from that. But I think the 7 games in the 8 weeks and everything else probably added to it. Like,
in some way then, actually, now that you bring that up, is this the first time since the Leinster final that Dublin are playing a team on equal terms? Because they came out of Leinster not being tested into the Super 8s in a situation where some of the teams have played far more week on week. Then they play against Tyrone, and obviously that's a non-game.
Yeah.
And then after that, Mayo coming in, having played the 7 games in 8 weeks, and they're coasting into it, having all their starters have had a nice 2 or 3 week break as well. So maybe for Kerry, this is the first time that that a team is meeting Dublin in a similar scenario.
Yeah, it's definitely a fair point. Like Dublin absolutely crushed Roscommon in the Super 8s as well. And as you said, that Tyrone game, that's the one everyone was kind of looking at to
get tested.
Yeah, to get tested. Like, but they were already home and hosing through. Like, so. This is the first test for sure. Like, it's mad to think that they had to go all the way to a final to get it. Like, obviously Mayo were talked up as they were going to be huge challengers, and they just ran out of gas and fell flat. Like, but I think there was a lot more talk as well that Mayo were going to challenge Dublin. There was a lot more talk around Mayo than there has been around Kerry this week for sure. Which is probably a great thing from a Kerry point of view.
So I see a piece that Gordon Manning did that Dublin have used 34 players in the championship, whereas Kerry have used 28. Now maybe a lot of that is down to that Tyrone game when the B team was rolled out massively. Do you think that Dublin have an incredibly deep bench? Like, so often that bench has won them games, but is it as deep as it was before? If Dear McConnelly can come away from being estranged from the panel to straight back into that bench.
Yeah, I definitely don't think it's as deep as it was. Like, if you even go back to maybe the 2017 final against Mayo, there was huge focus on the Dublin bench for that game, and the names been rolled out were Bernard Brogan, Kevin McManaman, Paul Flynn, Owen O'Gara, all those boys, those 2 years younger and with more in the tank. I think they did have more that time. Like, and you'd Conley of course as well. There was the whole sideshow that time with him and Lee Keegan. So I don't think it is as strong.
Do you think this game could get nasty in the way that the Mayo Dublin games have kind of had a tinge of that in the past couple of years? And maybe there was even a little bit of it in the semi-final this time. For example, Lee Keegan and Conor Callahan didn't seem to be getting on great. But could you see that, like, the Kerry lads are going to need to get into the Dublin faces here, and vice versa?
they will need to get into their faces, but I don't know if it'll get nasty per se. Like a lot of these Kerry lads have no history with Dublin. Like we were speaking to Gavin White down at the Kerry press night. He's obviously the captain. Like he's never played Dublin in a competitive match at any level. He played them in a challenge game when he was minor, and that's been it. Like, and there's a lot of other Kerry fellas in that boat. Like there was a good bit of needle in the league game down in Tralee at the start of the year, but the crowd, I think the crowd added a lot to that because the crowd really got into it, and it's Austin Stag Park, such a tight pitch, and Dublin were coming down. The 5 in a row talk had already started, and Kerry were, very much marking their territory. It was a great night, great game of football, but Dublin were only off the plane from their honeymoon after the 4 in a row off from their holiday, so there was a bit of needle that night. Like I remember there was a couple of handbags maybe on the pitch after the field. Like, but I don't think it'll get to the level that it got to when they played Mayo a few weeks ago, and there was a good few battles taking place all over the pitch, and you had Killian O'Connor's red card towards the end of it as well.
Do you think that the league game in Tralee earlier this year that Kerry won will count for anything? Even the league final last year, I know there's been a bit of a changeover in players, but even beating at Dublin at Croke Park, does it count for something?
Yeah, well, psychologically maybe, like, but it's a long time ago in everyone's eyes, really, like,
And it's not championship either.
Yeah, it's not championship either. So yeah, it is literally a completely different ball game. The supporters might dip into it a wee bit. Some of the younger players might have it in their heads slightly, but I don't think it'll be the topic of any conversations in either county in the next few days. So
for the game itself, where do you think Dublin are going to be most strong, and what areas can they really hurt Kerry?
The midfield for sure, Fenton, how he transitions the ball. Obviously Jack McCaffrey coming up through from that as well, from Cluxton's kick out, and up front as well, like your own clubmate Conor Callaghan. Look at the shape he's after getting himself into. Like I met him in town, just happened to see him in town like the night they played Roscommon, and the size of his arms, like, and everything else, he's just turned into an absolute machine. Him and Paul Mannion, I think Mannion has the potential to be man of the match, and could be in the running for Footballer of the Year. Like 5 points kicked against Mayo from play, some of them were just outrageous. He's in serious form.
Isn't it amazing the way he can hit points from more or less outside the scoring zone, near the sideline on the 45, and make it look like he's tapping it over from the 14?
Yeah.
Like, how many players have done that over the years? Because I can't think of too many. Like that do it so fuss free.
Yeah, Kieran McDonald, Maurice Fitzgerald, maybe you're talking that sort of category. Like it's just breathtaking what he can do. Like he looks like he can do it in his sleep. He's been in serious form. I've been really impressed with him. He's been such a weapon for Dublin.
Because you would think that with the way Dublin play, and even like the amount of palmed goals, which is a symptom of work the ball as close as possible, make sure that there is as little margin for error as possible, that there's one player that's trusted to do that, because just so few can do it.
Yeah,
it's just incredible.
Yeah.
Diarmuid Connolly, do you see him being used?
He'll definitely be used. Yeah, I don't think he'll start, but
like injury time job, bring him on.
Maybe not even that late. I think maybe with around 20 minutes to go, if Jim Gavin feels he needs him, he'll throw him in there. Jim obviously wants him there and feels like he needs him there. Given I'm surprised by the amount of game time Connolly's had since he was turned away from the play into Boston. The Boston lads won their championship without him anyway, so I'd say they're happy enough. It worked out well for everybody. Barry John Keaton was over there scoring goals for them, but he'll definitely. I could see him coming on with 20 minutes to go easily if the game's still in the melting pot, for sure. And
then those lads who were left off the panel for a guy who was going to go over to America, they have to be bullying, don't they?
Yeah, like I feel very sorry for Bernard Brogan, because I remember, like I was saying it to you the last time we spoke, like we met him kind of towards the start of the championship at a Super Value event or something, and like the shape he was in, like there wasn't a peck of weight on him. He was just all muscle, pure toned, looked extremely fit, looked as fit as I've ever seen him anyway. And he was telling us about all the work he put in to get back to this sort of shape, because this was his one last push. To come back from the cruciate injury like he did last year, I think he barely had a drink at Christmas. He's got 2 young twins at home. He's put a lot on hold and looks to really have put his life into this to try and get back, and it just hasn't happened for him for one reason or another. It must be heartbreaking for him, but I'm sure he's he's still, just known by the type of guy he is, I'm sure he's still giving Jim plenty to think about this week. But we were speaking to Barry Cahill the other day, and he doesn't think Bernard will make the 26, and a lot of Dublin people feel that he might make the 26 either, and that could be the end of his career. But you know, Alan had the dream finish in 2015, and very few players get that sort of fairy tale to say goodbye, and Bernard mightn't get it either, sadly. I wish it was different for him, because he's just so well respected, and he's been such a servant to Dublin. Like, I think he's just a class act. So a small part of me hopes that he is there somewhere, but I can't see it. Like, and the same goes for Owen O'Gara as well. You know, who seems to have been off the radar a good bit too. And as you said, those lads must be quite upset that you know, Jeremy, who's come back in, who was all set to play for Donegal Boston, who were his first choice no matter what way you look at it, is back getting game time.
And just who is going to win?
I think Dublin are going to win. Like it, you know, you're always trying to see how Kerry can do it, or who's going to be the Seamus Derby, or where's the freak moment going to come from. But like, I think the big moment the biggest moment in Dublin's drive for 5 from an opposition point of view was Donny Vaughan's red card in the 2017 final for Mayo. I think if that hadn't occurred, if that moment of madness hadn't occurred, we mightn't be talking about a 5 in a row at all.
And is this an All-Ireland or a 5 in a row that you would celebrate, or do you go down the route of Dublin has so many advantages, you know, the amount of grant money they've had, the sponsorship they can generate? Some people like to refer to it as financial doping. Is this something you would celebrate, or do you see it as this is killing Gaelic football?
It's I'm kind of between two stools in that one, really. Like they have a class panel of players. By and large, and the few times we've managed to deal with them, they all seem like great guys, even if they're all media trained to the health to say nothing. But like, greatness is greatness, and if they do get it, they will be down in history as the best team ever, and no one can take that away from them. But yeah, the money and the advantages side does rankle with a lot of people, and it is hard to ignore it a lot of the time. The big beef for me, aside from the money for a second, is the Croke Park issue. That they just get to play there so much. Like, and maybe they would beat everyone to a pulp in Tullamore or Portlaoise or wherever else, but I don't think that's the point. Like, I think the fact that they played 2 Super 8 games at Croke Park, I think it's an absolute joke. I've been saying it since it came into play last year. Like, I think it's just so wrong. The money side of things as well, yeah, when you've got AIG pumping that amount of cash into one county, and you have other counties around the country just managing to get by from local businesses who they'd be lost without. Local businesses are keeping some of these counties afloat, and they'd be lost without that support as well. But like, it's impossible to compete. Like, and we were talking to Sarah Rowe a couple of weeks ago as well, the Mayo ladies footballer, and she says it's starting to happen in the ladies football side of things as well. So it is a massive concern. Then again, like, as a fella who plays club hurling in Dublin, the Dublin hurlers might come back and say, sure, it's not happening for us. Dublin Camogie team as well.
Because a lot of the dual players are going for football.
Yeah, that's a good point too.
You know, and like, if you actually took those footballers and dumped them more to the hurling side overnight, Dublin would be right there for an All-Ireland title, or pushing for it.
Yeah.
But anyway, enjoy the game on Sunday. Hopefully it's a good one.
Come on, Shane.